We are live. Yes. Here we go. Just waiting for you guys to jump on. We have the main man himself on tonight. The Dundee Celtic Scotland legend, Mr. Rab Douglas.
Good evening.
Good evening, my man. How you doing?
Great, thanks. Great, thanks. Looking forward to this one.
Yes, spot on. So the numbers are jumping up. Guys, as you're jumping on, drop a little comment in the box, say hello, let us know you could hear us loud and clear, and hit that share button. Let's get Big Rab's story out to as many people as possible.
Be kind.
And yes, be kind. So, mate, obviously I had a few footballers on already, but although I was getting, people were asking for you to come on anyway, but I was like, do you know what? I want to get Big Rab on, even though I'm an Arab myself, because I love the twist in the story where you didn't actually go full time to your 25. And sort of went through the mill a wee bit to get there. So, nah, mate, appreciate you coming on. So, spot on.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. So we'll see how we go, even though you're an Arab.
Yes. So, first of all, Simon Pinto. Yeah. I used to play for the Riverside, and a few of the guys were saying, before my time, they were saying, I remember playing them in the Scottish Cup years ago. And after the game, did you head down the Smugglers to meet them and get on the lash?
That's right. Aye. No, great place. It was in between Lanark and Biggar, where I'm from. Great wee amateur set up, clubhouse, function suite. Great. They were really good with me when I started out amateur level, and I was in the second team. Let's just say the second team were a little bit the rougher quality than the first team. The second team were in the Lanarkshire League, which was local. The first team were played against the likes of St Mungo's, Viewfield Rovers, Stirling Uni, teams like a good standard.
Yep.
And believe it or not, I was in the second team, and I eventually ended up in the first team, but it was only after the goalie, who's sadly passed away, David Mbar, he broke his arm, and Gus says, "You're going with Gus Mackay was the manager," and Gus says, "Big stuff, you're going with the first team." I said, "No, Gus, I'm staying with my mates," because our rules were with the second team, you had to train twice a week, shirt and tie on a Saturday, boots were polished, and it was great. Honestly, what a bunch, you know. And I was on a few scraps with that squad, but I really still a tight-knit bunch, you know. I think Gus is trying to do something back at Simon for it, and I would love to help them, because they kind of started me in my journey. And I was probably, even then at Simon, I wasn't the most, folk will still say you're not the most talented, but I was last off the pitch at training every night. I just had that desire to try and improve.
Nice. What age were you when you went
there? Well, I used to play with Firth Park Boys Club, so I finished up there at 18. So I went to Simon probably 18 to 21.
Brilliant.
Believe it or not, there was a couple of days we actually built an extension in the clubhouse and everything. So great memories. So you got on a Friday night and GBX anthems and all that were on. You know, it was a shout out to the boys. We're having a couple of whiskies or a couple of beers, building the extension, and you know, the boys would help labour. There was myself and another brickie, so it was great. But great memories of Simon, great place and great people.
That's brilliant. Is that club still going now?
Yes, it is. It is. I think, well, I've spoke to Gus recently. I think we're going to try and get a Former Players Association up, and you know, obviously it helps bring all the older guys back, because there's been some amount of players went through Simon, and you know, so great wee set up. Yep. And I'd like to put something back in there if I could help.
That's brilliant. Was there any boys while you played with back there who went on and done a wee bit more in the game as well?
I'm sure Dougie Emery was at Simon. Dougie Emery played at Hampton. I think Dougie played there. In fact, he was after me though. But there's some very good players at that level. I think a couple went to Spartans, a few went junior. So it was a good, you know, majority were local boys as well, and yeah, it was just a right good atmosphere.
That's class. Were you in and about any of the youth teams or that, Rab?
No. I played with Motherwell. I was at Motherwell Boys Club under 15s, and I was in the same team as a wee guy, Stan Leslie, who was with Queen of the South as well. Stan passed away, and Phil O'Donnell was my teammate as well, believe it or not, Motherwell under 15s. Kind of fell away. I wasn't really playing every week, so I kind of fell away from it, and was never never really quoted anywhere. Did okay, but like I say, I was at Simon and I got asked to go through to Meadowbank to the goalie broke his finger, so they were needing a goalie for it was old Reserve League East back then. Played a few games and did okay, so that's how it kind of took off, believe it or not. So
that's cool.
2 years ago.
Did you see yourself developing like gradually? Obviously no to go full time till you're 25, but did you feel that you were good at that age, or was it like just gradually going?
I think when I look even at Meadowbank, and I say this, I've done a few Zoom chats recently. Even at Meadowbank, the first year I hated it because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't drive. I was the train used to go almost past Lanark. I'd have to go into Central and then get the last train out to Lanark. So every training was midnight. And after a year, I thought, I started to think to myself, well, if I don't start believing myself, I'll end up back junior at the best, maybe back at Simon with my pals. And I kind of kicked on from there, starting to work with the goalie coaches. And obviously a big thing was the confidence, you know. But it's no fun when you're trying to do your day job and you're getting in at midnight and you've been training, you know, it was slightly taking its toll, and I didn't think I had the whole belief in myself. And then when I thought, am I ever going to go back amateur or junior, or I've got to go for it? And I went for it, and I kind of progressed in my own belief there. And obviously, got in at Meadowbank, did relatively well at Meadowbank. We moved to Livingston. It kind of kicked off for Livingston, really. I was number one all there at Livingston, and obviously we won the league moving there through Meadowbank and that. So it kind of developed for there. But I genuinely say I didn't have enough confidence in myself back then. So it's a strange one.
Yeah. Do you think through playing the more games that you played, that just naturally grew?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you'd be looking probably even when I made my debut for Dundee, you're slightly nervous. I mean, I'll tell you a story later on about Jim McInally caught me dozing in the team talk. My son had been in the hospital and everything, but I'll tell you that one later on. But you did get nervous in the dressing room, you know, and obviously the more games you played, the older you got, the more relaxed you became and experienced, and that. It was great, but I don't think the nerves is a bad thing. And you know, like you and I were chatting earlier, any sport or that, I think you need that bit of adrenaline to get you going as well.
Yep. No, definitely. Who did you have debut at Meadowbank?
Donald Park. Donald Park was the manager. Believe it or not, we get pumped 5-1 down at Queen of the South. It was my debut. So then I kind of kicked on. Genuinely, you know, you're thinking, 5-1 in your debut. But it was one of those ones. Queen of the South were flying at that time. They were a really good part-time club. And you look back at some of the old Meadowbank boys. I was at the wee kit man who was there, Peter Reynolds. He passed away this year, so it was at his funeral. You see some of the boys, and it's great to catch up, you know. But again, when you lose 5 in your debut, you think this isn't going very well. But I genuinely kind of started finding my feet, and like I say, got bedded in at Meadowbank, and probably really kicked on at the start of Livingston. I worked with I've worked with great goalie coaches all my life. I've been lucky that way. I've never had a bad goalie coach, so I've been privileged that way. Roy Baines, Murray McDermott, Tam McLaren. Billy Thompson for me at Dundee was unbelievable as well, you know. Bobby Geddes.
United goalie, wasn't he?
Well, but I mean, he was Billy the patience. You're talking 6'4", 100 kilos, and he's coming for a building site. I wasn't exactly the most nimble on my feet, and Billy took his time to try and improve me and work me, and he was absolutely loved Billy Thompson. Really, he was the one that kind of kicked me off at Dundee. And again, Dundee paid, well, it was $100,000 deal, but I was in a building site in New Lanark, building internal walls in a hotel, and on my life, I was on my hands and knees, my back was that sore, and I was in the Retain Fire Brigade, and I said to the boys, we got a shout one time, the Fire Brigade, and I said, Dundee are in for me, 30 grand, and I no chance. So it ended up $100,000 deal, and it kind of kicked on from there. And you know, no offence, laying bricks or going to play football was absolute godsend, albeit a late starter. But the one thing being the late starter, it shows that it can still happen. You know, Vardy was a late starter. Matt Elliott, you know, there's one in every, but they're not as common certainly. But it was great times.
The Scottish goalkeeping Vardy. What was the transition like going from Meadowbank to Livingston?
There was a big, actually, believe it or not, there was protests. I mean, Meadowbank used to get about 252 fans every Saturday, and we were at the Commonwealth Stadium, which was a wind tunnel, and they were protesting. We had games put off because it was owned by the City Council in Edinburgh. We had games put off because you couldn't use the stand because there was a cat show underneath and things like that. So I mean, it was a bit of a farce. And Bill Hunter at Division to move them to Livingston. And look at them now. You know, it's still. I think Livingston could be a better supported club. Obviously, Meadowbank, you've got Hibs and Hearts, but there was a group of guys really against the move. But at the end of the day, you're there to just try and play football and get points and, you know, see how you do and progress yourself as a player. So I really enjoyed Meadowbank. I think I've still got my tie from my Meadowbank days. So it's collector's items, great memories.
That's class. It's mental how well like Livingston have went on and to what with the 5th in the Premier League this year.
Yeah, you look, they've hit an administration as well. There was a vision there. I mean, when we were there, it was the 2 stands to start with, and then they were building the 3rd one. Then obviously I went to Dundee, so that was it. But it's good to see, you know. It's also nice. I've been back a couple of times, and there's every club you go to, there's nice people, you know, and that's part people forget. It's not just the players; it's the people that are in and around about the clubs. You know, your kit woman or your kit man or the groundsman. Yeah. It's great. The wee woman that comes in voluntarily to do the tea. You get a great respect for all of them when you spend a bit of time at clubs. It's brilliant.
So when I had Stevie Campbell on, he says that he was the man who made the deal happen for you to go to Dundee.
What? There you go. I've honestly no idea. I knew that my son had been in hospital. Murray had a heart condition, and I had played in a friendly, and but I didn't know Billy Thompson had been there to watch us. And Billy always says he liked the way I came for crosses and said to Cowboy to sign us. I don't know. Stevie obviously lived in Dundee, so great.
He's claiming it. He's claiming it anyway.
Well, listen. Maybe because he was that bad. Maybe because he was that bad at left back. Stevie played with me. He came back from Ireland. I think he'd been full time, so he was one of the boys at Livingston that went. I think Stevie was full time. And he used to come back and I had this old water bottle. And he used to come in every time and take a big drink, pull the lid off the water bottle, and toss it in the I'd go mental. So one Saturday, I put half a bottle of whiskey in my bottle and filled it up with water. So Stevie pulls the lids off, takes a big drink here, spits it everywhere. He never came and took my water again.
Brilliant. He actually told me to ask you about that. Says he's still raging now.
He never touched my water bottle again anyway, that was it. But no, I love Stevie. Good guy.
So going full time at Dundee and for laying brick, and as you say, you're in the Fireys as well. What was that like going into the dressing room?
Obviously, you've been involved in the dressing rooms, you know, at part-time at Meadowbank and that, and there's some big characters there, but you go in and I think I was sitting with Billy Thompson, George Shaw, and obviously Cowboy signed right up the middle of the team. I think he signed 11 players. Great squad, great dressing room. There was myself, he signed Brian Irvine, Jim McInally, James Grady, Eddie Annand, filled in Lee Madison, left back, Dave Rogers, Big John McGlashan, another one, some big Jerry O'Driscoll, with Ando, with a great squad. You know, that's just to name a few. But
that's a decent really team, like
good team, a good dressing room as well. And it was great because I think we got Rangers in the Cup that year, and we drew 0-0 at Arbroath, and I did pretty well. And kind of obviously going from part time, it kind of puts you in the spotlight a bit more. But at Dundee, we were a good team. You know, we were nobody's mug certainly.
Aye. And you won the title that year, didn't you?
We did. Right? We won it that year. Cowboy got sacked with about 5 or 6 games to go, and Jockey came in, who was absolutely brilliant as well. But I'll always be grateful to Cowboy for signing us. You know, I think he would have got us over the line, but Peter and Jimmy brought in Jockey maybe for us to be in the Premier League, and Jockey is one of the best coaches I've worked with. But we were in Magaluf. Sorry, mate. We got a boys' holiday for going to Magaluf, the whole team. So the usual one of the players, I'll not name him, I think it was Grady, needed a letter that it was official that he had to go. So we had the boys' holiday in Magaluf, and Hearts were there. They'd won the Scottish Cup that year, so it must have been 98, I think it was. And one of the Hearts players now. Robbie Rayside's done this story recently in the paper. So we were out celebrating, thinking, oh, we're in the Premier League, we've done well. Hearts were there, Scottish Cup, Bluter. One of them says, "You're a pub team, we'll run over the top of you next year." That year we took 12 points off them and won about 3 fights in the tunnel, I can assure you in that one. So that's what you need. That's what you need. We were obviously going up and they were building the stands, and see when you've got a cause to fight for, and our cause was Hearts called as a pub team, so it's brilliant. And the Dundee players were just up for it. I had Big Russie by the throat in the tunnel at Tynecastle and everything, but that's what you need. When you've got that bond with your teammates and that, and you're prepared to go that. But I mean, Hearts had won the Scottish Cup and we took 12 points off them that year, so it was an interesting one to say the least.
I love it. Did that have a good team spirit, that squad?
Great, one of the best. I think, obviously, I've been privileged to play at Celtic, which was massive celebrities and superstars, but probably the only other team spirit would have been the Defiant one. The administration at that time was unbelievable as well. But great, good bunch of boys. Again, it's sad when you see people losing their job for things like that. But I don't know if you want to touch on that later on or not.
No, definitely. We'll come back to that, the Dundee as well. Like going back to Jockey Scott there, because I've heard so many people have a conversation as well about him and say he's an amazing coach. What was so good about him?
Everything was set out. He'd come in, he was very thorough in his team talk about how we were going to play, talk about the opposition. He'd maybe talk about a left-back weakness, things like that. He would then, but training-wise, everything was set up. You'd go from drill to drill to drill, crossing, finishing, shooting or shape, or he was just, I think he's seen I think Charlie Nicholas said he's one of the best coaches he's worked with, and his training routines and that are great, He's forgotten more than half the coaches remember. He's absolutely brilliant, really. And he's good with me. He encouraged me. But again, he's a Dundee legend and the fans loved him. I think he's been at the club 3 times or something like that as a manager. So it just shows you.
That's quality. So, making a move to Celtic, where were you when you found it?
I was in the in-laws' house, actually, believe it or not. I think he was away in Spain. I think I was a security guard. Rangers were actually in for his first, and I didn't have a conversation with Rangers. It was Blair Morgan was my agent. Blair was absolute fantastic, a lawyer from Dunfermline, well respected. So Blair had made contact with Peter saying Rangers were in for us for 850, and Dick Advocat wanted us. I was told I would play 6 games and then Kloss would be back in. That set alarm bells ringing straight away. Not that I've never been told you're guaranteed number 1 in your career anywhere. You work hard for it. You don't get handed things like that in a plate. But I was just, listen, Stefan Kloss was there, German, probably in 40 grand a week. European Cup winner with Dortmund, wasn't he? So
yep.
When you look at it, and then you get wind that Celtic's having a sniff as well. I was a Motherwell fan, so first of all, I supported Motherwell home and away. I used to go and watch them, so it was great. But you look and you think, and Blair had a couple of conversations with David Murray, and David Murray was very off the cuff to Blair. He'll play 6 games, and if any unhappy player at Rangers, he can go. If he signs. And I spoke to Blair, and I think I'd played about 130 games my first time at Dundee, and you're talking 70, 80 games at Meadowbank. I wanted to play football. I was a late starter. I was probably a bit naive that way, but I wanted to play. I went and met Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill says it's a fight between Jonathan Gould was there, myself, Dimitri Karine, Stuart Kerr. So it was, Martin O'Neill says, you get the gloves, it's up to you, and never look back. You've got the medals, you've got the memories, you've got teammates for life. It's everything. You want to go and win Premier Leagues, and I was lucky enough we won it 3 times at Celtic, so it wasn't a bad decision. And the one thing with Blair was, Blair Morgan was told what his deal was with Rangers and his deal with Celtic, and he said to me, he says, Robert, I'll double my money if you go to Rangers. He said, but I would advise you to go to Celtic. So when you're agent, you hear about agents ripping players off and that, but I genuinely say Blair was great for me. And again, like I say, you go to Celtic and when you win things, it's unbelievable.
Yep. What was Martin O'Neill like?
Very eccentric. There's a movie out. I don't know if you've watched it. I Believe in Miracles. It's Notts Forest. It's all about Brian Clough.
Oh no, not seen it.
Great movie. If you get a chance, anybody that's listening, get a chance, go and watch it. It's obviously the team's littered with Scottish. You know, you've got John Robertson, John McGovern, Archie Gemmell, Kenny Burns, Viv Anderson, Shilton. But great movie, and when you watch it back and you see what Brian Clough's like, it's like a mini Martin O'Neill. You know. Really. So obviously the gaffer at Celtic learned all this stuff off Brian Clough, for the most of it. He was great. He looked after the players, and training wise, it was always enjoyable. You know, that's one thing.
Did he take much of the training?
No, he didn't take much. Steve Walford did all the training. The gaffer would come, and every now and again he'd do a wee drill. You know, 1v1s, 2v2s, or. They would obviously referee the young v old on the Friday, which was like World War III sometimes, you know, 1 touch, 2 touch, all in 7 minutes each. But it was great. It was that competitive, but he was unbelievable, you know, to look after the players the way he did and keep that dressing room. You know, there was nobody ever out of line there.
Yeah, because there was some massive names in there, Some massive names.
You're talking Sutton, Hartson, Larson, 3 up front. Janino, a World Cup winner comes in who was in fortunes, and it never took off for Janino for some reason. Now you look, the guy's a football.
Forgot about him, mate. Forgot about him.
Never ever, you know. And I look back, I played 160 games. Janino wouldn't have played probably 16, but again, sometimes it worked for you, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm not saying it was all great for me at Celtic, because I had some hard times as well. But that's the nature of being a goalie. You know, I make a mistake, it's in the net. Johnny Hartson wants under his foot, it's out for a throw-in. But that's part and parcel of it. But again, when you look at guys like Janino, who sometimes it doesn't work for, you sometimes think, so it's no bad.
Was Martin O'Neill one for foot and arm around you? Or
I could do both. You could do both. You know, privately it could be different, and publicly would back you the hilt. Stuart Kerr had made a comment to me, and Martin O'Neill came out and slaughtered him after Stuart Kerr had left Celtic. Things like that, but it was good. You know, he just get the best out of the boys. Really good manager. Like you got to play. Obviously, you were in Europe or you were in cups, so you were never doing double sessions. You were away pre-season. You would get to golf. You would get your night out. He treated you like men. You know, it was a big group of men, and it was great that way. Where he let everybody go on with it. You know, and he, obviously when he came in, he ran the dressing room, but the boys were in there were brilliant.
Yep. Because you must have been playing, what, 60, 70 games a season?
60 was your Canadian. Well, you're 36 in the league.
36 plus.
I think probably the year at Seville was 20 plus games, plus we had a Champions League qualifier, plus your Scottish Cups and your League Cups. It's mental, you know. So there's no point in you burning them out, battering them in training when you're probably playing a testimonial thrown in there as well, and you're away in international duty, so it's plenty of games.
Yep. You spoke about the front three, but what about the back three that sat in front of you?
Brilliant. When you look at them, Bobo, Johan, Yost, wee Jackie Mack, you know, absolute. Big Stan Varga came in. Big Johan was brilliant for me. I think Bobo played in the reputation where Johan just went about his business quietly, and Johan was the main man for me.
Yeah.
And then you've got your midfield. Then you throw your midfield in when you look at Petrov, Lennon, Lambert, Thompson, Agat, Petr. You know, you're some squad when you look back like that.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? How quick was Agat, by the way?
Sorry?
How quick was Didier Agat, by the way?
Oh, unbelievable. Nicest guy ever as well, Didier. Great player. Did very well.
What was it like playing against Larson in the training?
You got to remember, I'd been at Dundee, and they were, you know, Celtic used to batter us about 5 or 6 every week. So, you know, you get fed up hearing the Larson song at Celtic Park when you were playing with Dundee. It was hard going sometimes, but Henrik had everything in his game. That was the one thing. He wasn't the tallest, but the way he could rise in the air and hang. Great movement for a striker and attacking corners, and his finishing was unbelievable. the ultimate all round. I think you look when you leave Celtic, and you go to Man U and Barcelona. It's some going that.
Yeah. I know. Is he the greatest to ever play in Scotland? In this generation?
I would say so. I never played against Gaza or Loudrop. I think they would have been close, but I think when you look at Henrik, where he went after and things like that, I think Henrik was the real deal. I mean, I think Celtic 650 or 750. What would you be worth? You wouldn't get enough zeros in your calculator for him now.
I know. So. I remember, I was a kid at Wimbledon. I went in there when I was 16, and Hartson was the main man in there. And when we finished, we used to sit and watch the first team playing. He just used to stroll a bit, just like slower than walking pace. And then when the ball used to come, he just used to turn, hit things anywhere, and they just used to be flying in. He's a beast of a man,
When you see Johnny and the ball's in the box, there's no way. He's pinning the centre half, or you're never getting in front of him. That was the one thing with John, and even at Celtic, he wasn't blessed with pace. I think is what you're trying to say. But it's great.
Or work rate. Sometimes.
I think he'll admit that himself. He's probably better shape now.
I know. Who was the standout in the dressing room? Outside of probably Larson.
You're talking. I'm still really pal. I keep in touch regularly with Lenny and Stan and Tomo and Big Johnny. I was really close to Lambo. Keep in touch with Sutty, but you look at it. It was just an unbelievable dressing room, And Gouldy, I was really close to Gouldy. Obviously, we were in Scotland squads together, and then you're coming in and you're fighting for a jersey, and I don't think you want to see a goalie no do well. So that's Gouldy was great, and Magnus came in as well, and Broto, but it just shows you big dressing room, big characters. Yeah.
How much do you think that pushed your game on in them other quality goalies next year?
I think you're always, I think the road to Seville, you get a rest. Magnus came in and took us out. Magnus had the jersey at one point, then Magnus got injured or didn't fancy it. I don't quite know. There's another one we're talking about. Magnus came in with a massive reputation, and it just never happened. For him. And when they sign Magnus, and you're hearing what Magnus is on in his reputation, you're starting to think, my days maybe. All you can do is keep working away and believe in yourself, and keep your head down and get on with it. And that's what happened. And Magnus got injured, and I get back in, and that was me. But again, you look, Marshy came in after me. I get sent off against Barcelona in the tunnel. Marshy comes in, keeps a clean sheet, and does brilliant in the new camp. So it's things like that. It's a funny old game sometimes.
Yeah. Because that was 2003, wasn't it? 2003.
Yeah. Yes.
3 goalies ended up playing about 20 games each that year, did they?
Well, there was Marshy, myself, and Magnus. I think Stuart Kerr was away by then. And Gouldy would still have been there as well, I think, so...
Oh, really?
But, look at Marshy's career as well, absolutely brilliant. But, again, you can't put your finger on why it never happened for Magnus, because he had all the attributes as well. And training, Magnus used to do taekwondo, I think it was. He had the quickest feet I've seen in a goalie, Like Gouldy and I were jumping about with Doc Martens on compared to Magnus when he saw Magnus' footwork. Really, staggeringly quick feet.
Could he play? Could he play with his feet, like in the wee boxes? Or
Magnus was comfy. Magnus believed in himself, but great footwork. And him and Gouldy, the first couple of days, Gouldy doesn't like him to come in as competition, so him and Gouldy are lashing the ball. And Magnus had an unbelievable serve as well, so it was fun watching them, testing each other for the first couple of days. But great bunch. I think MD that's listening, it's a goalie, you'll know you work with the goalies more than you do with outfield players. And the outfield players will run by and slag them and all that. But the goalies, they're a unique bunch, and they do genuinely want everybody to do well and get on with it. I genuinely believe that.
There's like a wee goalies union, is there? Everywhere you go, there's a wee goalies union.
Most of them are mad. So
they're all daft. Was there a turning point for you becoming a goalie? Was it a click? Was it a click that happened or that?
I played outfield with Kirkfield Boys Club when I was younger and Smileham, and I just went. I think I was about 10 before I even went in goals. I used to play outfield with my brother and his pals, and I thought I'll have a shot in the goals. And there was 3 men at Kirkfield, Mr. Forrest, Mr. Swinburne, and Mr. Mackey, and they kind of got me started. So I was lucky enough. I managed to give everybody my Scotland jersey, so you don't forget things like that. So it's great people. Again, a proper football club. My mum and dad were involved and things like that. My dad used to do the pitches, and my mum would do the strips and the coffees and all that. So it was great. But
brilliant.
10-year-old and turned into a goalie. So there you go.
So the road to Seville. Talk me through it, Rab. That season.
I think you look. I think we get put out the Champions League qualifier late on against. I can't even mind the name of the team now. We get put out in the Champions League qualifier, and then we kicked on. We went to Lithuania. Was one of the first games, and nobody ever thought you're going to get to the final. You know, when you're playing. I mean, the one that stuck out for me was Stuttgart. Over there, we went a couple of goals up, and they came back. The boy Kleb that was at Arsenal, Alexander.
Yeah.
I think if that game had been on in our 5 minutes, we were in trouble because we conceded a goal. We conceded a goal, and we kicked off. And Lenny passed it back about 45 yards, and I kicked it back about 45 and a half yards to Lenny to head it. So it was one of the ones. But if that game had been on in our 5-10 minutes, I genuinely think we might have struggled. But I mean, you look who we beat on the way. You know, we battered Blackburn down there. Very comfy with Liverpool. Don't get me wrong. Both English teams up at Celtic Park were very good. They were probably more careful with possession than we were. We beat Stuttgart, Celta Vigo. That was another tough one. Big John again. Boavista, Henrik. Then obviously you get Seville, which you're so close to. And then Porto going to win the Champions League the following year. So. But I mean, you're another 20 odd games for that, I think, you know, and to get to the final. So amazing.
You played every game, Rab, did you?
I think I missed one of the one in Lithuania. I think Gulde played. I think we won 8-1 at home, and Gulde. I think it was, and Gulde played the second one. But I played in every one up to then. So, but unbelievable. You know, you're so close, which is a hard bit. You know. You've made it to the final, and probably Porto would have been favourites. The pitch, the atmosphere, and that just didn't quite suit us that night. Bobo getting sent off, Bobo and I get criticised. But as a team, nobody complains when we were getting there as a team. You know, everybody they believe. So it was that. But again, you look at probably launched Mourinho. They had players like Deco, and they went on to win the Champions League the following year. Just absolute galling that we never won it. But I think at the start of that journey, if you had said you'd make the final, folk would have took it.
Oh, 100%, mate. And I think when you look back as well, you're probably underdogs in every game.
Probably every game apart from the Lithuania game, you know, to be honest. Well, Souness came out and said it was men against boys at the Blackburn. Obviously, Liverpool was 1-1 at Celtic Park. They thought they'd done enough going back down there. For me, I was a Liverpool fan growing up. And he got a clean sheet at Anfield. You know, Kenny Dalglish is my all-time hero. I met him once and I could hardly speak. Honestly, all-time hero. And you're watching, and when John Hartson scores the second one, I've turned round to the cop, and there's one boy. I've made eye contact with this one boy in the hoops, jumping up and down. You know, so I'm celebrating with the one guy in the cop who's probably about to get battered. But it was great. Great memories. That's what it's about.
Yep. I'm a Liverpool fan myself, mate. I remember it well. But no, good. But what about the final? Because obviously Porto were up to the capers, weren't they?
I think they would have been respected more if they hadn't probably the way they'd behaved during the game and at the end. But listen, that's probably the way the continental teams are you know, brought on. Probably Mourinho, a lot of that rubbed off. He probably rubbed a lot of that off in them. I just think probably everyone was against us in the odds that night, sadly.
Yep. What was the story of the tunnel then, Rab?
That was the Barcelona one, the tunnel. That was Bobo's fault.
What?
Barcelona game when we get sent off.
The Barcelona you got sent off. I was in Barcelona again. Sorry, mate. I'm getting way ahead of myself. What actually happened that day then?
Well, listen, you're playing against Barcelona, Ronaldinho the lot, right? I'm thinking, life's great, wee boy for Lanark. Ronaldinho's got the wee tights on. It was that cold at Celtic Park that night. So we're going off at half-time, and Motta laid one in Bobo and burst his nose just right before half-time. So I'm walking up the tunnel, and Bobo's throwing about three of them a bit and swinging them, and he's got a hold of Motta. So I gets in between, and be fair, right? Bobo's green and white. I'm in a different colour goalie shirt, and I've got big white gloves on, and I get sent off. But there was a few of them. It was probably a gold medal for Bobo anyway. I get the blame, obviously, and wee Jackie comes in and goes, "Big Rab, you're off." That was it. And I'm thinking, not really done anything, to be honest, you know. But and then again, Marcy comes on and does brilliant. Marcy goes to Barcelona as the game of his life. I never got to play in the new camp. You know, probably one of the stadiums as a kid you'd love to play in, you know. But
yep.
Cheers, Bobo.
How do you deal with that, Rab?
Well, Celtic tried to appeal it, but we lost the appeal. So listen, you look after Marcy. That's the next thing you do, because he's one of your own. He's the goalie union.
Yep.
And Marcy was cool as a cucumber, unbelievable. So it was great for him, you know, to go over there, and it launched his career as well. It started Marcy, who, you know, had all the attributes and trained with us every day anyway. So it just shows you.
Yep. You mentioned earlier on as well, he's went on, had a brilliant career, mate, hasn't he?
Oh, great. Keep in touch with him, and well deserved. So we'll see where he ends up.
Aye, oh, that's good. So after that, mate, you made the trip down south, play for Leicester.
Aye, but I was there 3 years. Craig Levine signed us. At the time, it was a massive overhaul. You're talking, it was guys like Ian Walker and that had left in huge money. I think you got a lot of Scottish boys in and a lot less money. Obviously, the budget was massively reduced. And we struggled. Didn't do particularly well. My debut, we beat 4-2 for Sheffield United. Could have done better with one of the goals. I played about 35 games, 30-odd games, and I tore my thigh. And some goalie came in and did absolutely brilliant. Paul Henderson, Hendo, Australian. So loved it down there. Though. Absolute. Wee Lenny gave us a list of places where to go and look at for houses. Moved down there and loved it. Great wee place up beside Loughborough. And it just never happened football-wise. We had Rob Kelly come in as caretaker after Levine. How long
did Levine last down there?
Not even that full season, I don't think.
No.
Then with Rob Kelly. Sorry, with Nigel Worthington. Nigel Worthington was great. Rob Kelly, great guy. I had Gary Megson. I was on loan at Millwall at the time, so I didn't really... Gary Megson, no problem.
Yep.
Martin Allen told me I could go. Never even met him. Ian Holloway, the same. So it was a strange kind of, you know, you just keep your head down and try and be as professional as you can. Keep yourself in good shape. You know you're not going to play under him for some reason. And I was trying to get away. I went out on loan. I had a month at Millwall with Willie Donachie, which I loved. I had a couple of months at Wickham with Lambo, which I loved. I had a one-game wonder for Plymouth against Bristol, which is a derby. Paul Sturrock got us. I did really well. I'm apparently quite popular down in Plymouth. I'm the only goalie who's probably never played a home game for them, and they've won away. So it was great, though. It was a one-off. The young goalie, Luke McCormick, was suspended. Went in and did well. So it was great. Just to come in, show. I think I had the night out in Glasgow, and I says to Paul Sturrock, no, I'm not coming to. He says, I'll get you a flight up the road. I went, okay, I'll come and play, and did brilliant. It was great, really. To just come in, Russell Anderson was there, believe it or not. Big Russell was the centre half. To come in and show, and it gives you, you know you're not going to get a game at Leicester. You know you're completely born, but to come in and do well and see the match highlights over the weekend and think, oh, I'm mid-30s, I still can do a good job for somebody. You've got to believe in yourself. And probably I was at my fittest then because I was running. I knew that I had to keep myself right just in case they tried to do anything to get rid of me. And I just kept running the weekends, Friday, Saturday, etc. And obviously went down to Plymouth, or went down to Bristol in that one game and did well. So it was great.
That's cool. What did the fans like you at Millwall?
No, when we were getting beat 3-0 at Carlisle at half time, I think they were trying to go on the pitch to always. I genuinely loved it down there as well. We were struggling. Wally Donachie, he got the sack. No, because of me this time, but he got the sack, and a couple of the boys took over as caretakers. We were struggling at Millwall, but to go there and just see the different setups at training and work with different goalie coaches, with Kevin down there, it was great, you know. And you're a long time forgotten. See if you don't play. See if you just sit it out and you don't play. You're quickly forgotten about, you know. And that's and I ended up going back up to Dundee after that with Alec Ray, but it just shows you.
How did you deal with moving about in that, Rab?
Well, I moved up to Dundee first, the very first time, and it was the best thing I did. I travelled for about a month, and how guys do it, I don't know. I moved up because I hated it, and it benefited me. Great. What I did was about 15 minutes away from the ground or the training ground. You know, you didn't want to be too far away, but it was just great time, and I think when you're up in Dundee, and there's a feel-good factor in that as well. You know, obviously you're winning games, and you've came from Bricking, and I think I moved to Montefiore the first time. You know, and it's, obviously, you know, I'm still in the ferry, and I love it. I love it. Great people.
Dundee's brilliant. I love it here. Here, the fans love you.
You'll go on a night out, you'll get 9 good guys, and you'll get one that's always a comedian or a hard man. You'll never beat them all. But at the end of the day, I drink down the ferry, and you've great banter. Dundee United fans, whatever, you know. And you can be in Broughty Ferry, and there's guys from your hometown are up golfing over the weekend. I've met guys from Leicester, I've guys from Glasgow. It's a good mixture. And but the one thing you always go back and talk about is football. You know, where did you play? Or, you know, we remember you were murdered there, or you cost us that goal, or whatever, or you made that save. That's football. I try and think sometimes when you're on a night out, why would you deliberately try and go and wind somebody up? You know, because you do get it, and you think, oh, really? So anyway, maybe I'm just getting older, and the tolerance levels are.
How did it feel coming back to Dundee? Because going back to a club for a second time, sometimes people say it's a bit dodgy.
That's right. They always say never go back, but I'd been looking at going to America. Somebody had put us in touch. I was trying to get to Georgia to set up some goalkeeping schools, and it never materialised. And Dave McKinnon was the chief executive. I think father-in-law Peter still keeps in touch with Dave McKinnon. Alec Ray was the manager, came back because they tried to get us the last day of the season for a game, but you couldn't go cross-border. Came back, and I think we beat Ross County first day of the season up there, and I actually got man of match up at Ross County, so it wasn't a bad start. But for some reason, I've had a great rapport with the Dundee fans. I think, obviously, coming in, we won the championship, did pretty well. They got money for me. I could have went Bosman. The way I look at it is Dundee took a chance in me. Peter and Jimmy paid money. I could have went Bosman. I re-signed. Dundee got a good chunky money back on me, and obviously going back the second time was great. You know, I genuinely thought I'd probably finish my career at Dundee, but that never materialised. But that's somehow happens.
What was the final transfer that you went to Celtic for?
1.2 plus add-ons, I think it was. So, I mean,
decent day for Dundee.
I was 60 grand in a player and 100 grand deal for Livy, so it worked out. And like I say, Dundee took the chance in me, and I'll be forever grateful for them. Cowboys signing us, and Billy Thompson having the patience, and Peter and Jimmy taking a chance in me. You know, so it was great. It was great, and I think the Dundee fans know me. I'll play when I'm injured. Give your all. That's all you can ask. That's all you're ever. Whatever level you're at, is just try your best. You're going to make mistakes. You're not perfect, but if you give your all, the fans will always appreciate that. That's the one thing.
100%, mate. Yep. Do you know what? I'm just going to jump back because I forgot to ask you about the helicopter Sunday.
Oh, cheers.
Because, I mean, that was, as you said, like 60 games a season, probably 60 odd games that season, in for every trophy. And then talk us through it, mate. Talk us through it.
Came back from Seville and Martin put Javi in on Sunday, so obviously that was me getting the blame for Seville. Put Javi in. I thought that was a bit harsh, to be fair. And we were up. Rangers were battered in Dunfermline. Tomo missed a penalty. You know, it was one of the days. And the other one was the Fir Park helicopter Sunday as well, which I was a Motherwell fan, and then Scott McDonald scored 2, you know. We had a few chances again, but just shows you, you know, you think you could be winning 4 and end up with none.
It's mental. Mental. How do you deal with that?
That was a sore one. That was a sore one because obviously Seville had been the previous week as well, or the midweek. It's you just listen. You feel sorry for yourself. You just got to get back on with it. You know, I thought that was me probably finished at Celtic, and I probably had another year after that or 2 years. But you've just got to keep your head down and work away. There's nothing else. You know, when you're at this, Bobby Lynn will be on. Bobby Lynn will never be a first pick every week at any team, and he'll know that himself. And when Bobby Lynn's not playing, Bobby Lynn's probably got to work harder than ever before to get back in the team. You know, Bobby Lynn Bobby carried us for the first probably third of the season in the Championship this year. You know, and you can't keep relying just on Bobby, but when it's not going well for you, the best thing you can do is get your head down and just keep working away.
Yep. How did you deal with it collectively?
I think Sutty came out and had a few comments, but it was, listen, it's absolutely, it's your job. It's, you know, it's you're thinking that you could be going on to win another trophy, and it's hard to say. No runners up, it doesn't really count, does it? You know, nobody wants to be whether it's snooker, pool, darts, boxing, nobody wants to be a runner up. That's for sure.
Yep. What's the dressing room like after that?
Like a morgue, genuinely like a morgue. I think maybe even the Fir Park one was as hard. You know, we were all sitting there as well. So, but I mean, we've lost 2 in helicopter Sundays and we've won 3. So in the balance of things, the celebrations outweigh the disappointment.
That's brilliant. I didn't know that. I didn't know you'd lost 2 and won 3. Outstanding. So back to Dundee. It was different times when you went back this time, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The club itself.
Sorry?
The club itself was going through different times.
That was Dave McKinnon was in as chief executive. Alec Ray was the manager. Always a good bunch of boys, good squads. Just never ever got over the line. Again, I think Jockey was back again. We had Gordon Chisholm as well. Trying to think who else. Can't think off the top of my head. Obviously, Barry Smith in the Define era. John Brown, which obviously we had our tiff. But I think the whole Dundee thing for me, you look back, I was over 300 games, and I think it's probably where you were comfiest playing, or probably where you were, where it started for us more than anything. You know, I know that at Livingston I kind of started there, but obviously just bedding myself in at Dundee and kicking on for there was probably where it was a good time.
Yep. And inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2017.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Not bad for a wee boy for Lanark. I never ever thought I would, you know, but it's great. I mean, it shows what the fans think he is well, and the club, and it's always great to look back in that aspect. I've got a couple of supporters clubs named after us, you know, so it's things like that I think you can look back and a wee sense of pride. It's no, that's for other people to speak about, you know. I'm quite happy. Just, I think I would be known at Dundee that I gave them all, and what it meant for me to me as well. Obviously, I was Barry Smith's assistant when we did the Defiant run as well, so it was great.
I love how humble you are, mate. Love it.
I just think it's, well, I'm one of the lucky ones. That's how I see it. You know, you're never everybody's cup of tea. Other fans might. I mean, I've had great banter with fans, whether it's United and Fairland, but you know, other fans might say, "Oh, don't fancy him. He's rubbish." But as long as the Dundee fans or the Celtic fans or the Arbroath fans or whatever, you know, as long as they appreciate you, that's all you want, and you get on with it. I'm just happy go lucky.
So one of the number one questions that people were sending me to ask you was what happened to Griff in the showers.
Well, he did tell the story. He admitted a little bit. He was, I love wee Sparky. He's a rogue. He's a lovable rogue, and he needs to get his head down. He's probably drinking in Last Chance Saloon now. He's got to get himself right, and that, by all accounts, I'm led to believe. You get him the pitch fit, he'll score goals. You look at his free kicks against England. That's what it's about. He loves scoring goals. That's it. We were playing Motherwell in the Scottish Cup. The groundsman was in during the night trying to get the snow off the pitch and everything. So we had to be in just say 1:15. Now, as a goalie, I was always out 2:10, never later. Well, Sparky comes in late. So Barry, the gaffer, couldn't do a team talk until Sparky came in because we were waiting on him.
Yep.
So Sparky rocks up late. So my preparation's completely up in the air. I'm out late. So I've then got the major hump. Serious hump with him. Because as a goalie, you'll do your warm-up, you'll do your stretching, you'll do your volleys, half volleys, dippers, whatever, crosses, angles, kicking. Then you'll go in and get changed and come back out for the... Obviously, that was completely rushed. You're in. I just like routine. I don't like... And Sparky's late, so we get beat. He gets sent off a couple of minutes to go and smirking at the Motherwell fans. Well, that was me. So Matty Lockwood's in the shower, and Matty, for some reason, the boys will tell you there'll be tweets and Facebook messages in this one. Matty used to spend about 10 minutes in the shower soaping himself. So Matty's in the shower and Sparky's in, and I've just went in and I'm choking the life out of Sparky, and he's going half green, half blue, half pink. And Matty's not even...
Is his feet going like...
Oh, he's up there, and his wee hands are trying to grab me, and I've got him up. I've got my shower gel bottle in our hand, and Jeepsy and Gary Irvin come in, and they're hanging off my arm trying to get me, let go of him, and mate, bollock naked as well, and Matty's got soap everywhere, but it's funny at the time, and I think I've forgiven him now, but he's a lovable rogue, and I hope he's never late again anyway, put it that way.
Has he forgiven you?
I think so, aye. Well, I hope so. Listen, I just try and get the best out of him. That was, and I think he had to realise he let his teammates down that day, and he will say, but
yep.
I think he wouldn't be late again. Let's put it that way.
100%. Yeah, because he is a special talent, isn't he?
Of course. He's too good a talent not to be playing, so he needs to get back fit, focused, and doing his job for Celtic, hopefully. So, and then for Scotland as well, because we're not exactly overrun with strikers at the moment, are we?
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Scotland are struggling across the field, to be honest. So, leaving Dundee was a bit of a sore one for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, aye. To be fair, I genuinely probably ended up ill over it. I did end up ill over it, aye. So, but people think, oh, it's okay, it's a whatever. But I just thought, I think what I gave to Dundee, I was due a wee bit more respect the way they signed Simo. And it's not Simo's fault. Listen, I wasn't fully fit. The manager had played us, and then we fell out over that. Listen, I think I've had 30 managers in my career, and it's only one I fell out with. You're never going to see eye to eye to everybody. And I just thought I would deserve a bit more respect the way he treated it. And obviously, when you follow the manager, there's only one person's going to win that, and it's the manager. Yep. And I've learned, obviously, I'm up at Arbroath. I watch how Dick Campbell handles players that aren't playing or maybe, and it's a learning curve for me because I might eventually try the management or go into it, but watching Dick Campbell. But again, you follow the manager, there's only one person who wins the manager. But I just, the way it was treated at Dundee at the end was really disappointing, to be honest. So, but that's it. Listen, I'm big enough and ugly enough. I stick up for my beliefs, and I believe that I was due a bit more respect in that aspect. And that was it. Nothing else.
Do you think that was an oversight with him coming in, like for how big a player you'd been for Dundee over the years, or do you think it was just like he wasn't getting shit?
You would need to ask him that. Well, the thing is, I played 2 games and I was injured, and we took 4 out of 6, points. So that's up to him. I don't know. It's a strange one, but it hurt at the time. It genuinely hurt. I just love playing football, and at that point, I kind of fell out of love with football, and I did end up ill with it, and I was over in Magaluf and I met Dick Campbell, and he says, "Come up to Forfar and be my goalie coach." You know, I used to see him in Magaluf, go and speak to them for 10 minutes on their holiday, leave them, they're on the boys' holiday. He says, "Come up to Forfar and be my goalie coach." And I ended up playing about 60, 70 games up there as well. So then they
did you not get player of the year, like division player of the year?
I was in team of the year and I get player of the year up at Forfar. But I think as well, again, a great wee club. We were struggling and they got rid of Dick Campbell, which was, when you look at what he's done at Arbroath, they'll be absolutely kicking themselves. But again, I played a game for Arbroath as well, so I'm a one-game wonder up there as well.
Clean sheet at Hampden.
Clean sheet at Hampden, yeah. And an assist, I'll let you know that as well, just so.
And but no,
brilliant. But I like, it's just, I think when you look at things like that and you can say, you know, I was the goalie coach and Huts had been struggling and the gaffer says, "I'm putting you in." And I thought, oh. And then hadn't played in about 18 months. You know, I still did a bit of training, but to come in and great. You know, it's just it shows you can still do it. Listen, I wouldn't even try it now. Getting too old.
How did the body feel the next day?
Listen, when you've got a clean sheet at Hampden in your last game, I'm happy with that. There's no complaints with that.
Yeah, Lenny was telling us about the 7-1 game at Airdrie when he scored. He hadn't scored for about a year, and he ran over to celebrate with you, and you choke slammed him.
I love wee Bobby, and I love keeping him on. You know, I think when he's on our side, you can give him that wee bit extra encouragement. And you know what, you see Bobby running at players, and they're terrified. But he hit a wee barren patch, and it's Lenny, any chance? So just keep him top of him there. He'll always produce a goal for you, so it's great. But it's good. It's good that they appreciate, you know, because you try and get the best out of them. There's no point. As a player, I was quite hard on my teammates, but as a coach, I went the opposite way and I try and get the best out of them by more encouraging. Probably, I've went the exact opposite as a player. So, but it seems to be working up at Arbroath anyway. So,
yep. And you're enjoying that role?
Yes, I never ever thought I'd get into it. Never ever thought I'd. I'm learning off the most experienced manager in Scotland. You know, it was a big ask for us at Arbroath this year in the Championship, as players, as coaches, as a manager, and they stepped up brilliant. Now the problem at Arbroath is the expectancy level, the consistency level. But again, it's a great challenge, you know, for us. I never ever thought I'd do coaching or management or anything like that. And the gaffer, he'll ask you his opinion and he'll take things on board, or, you know, he's maybe wanting a fresh set of eyes, or, you know, it's actually quite enjoyable. But you don't realise how much football men, you know, they're football men, but they are absolute. I went to Mallorca with them last September, the gaffer and his brother, and they're arguing about shapes, formations, players. You're sitting having a meal at 9 o'clock at night, and they're absolutely brilliant. John Young's there as well. Obviously, I went in after John Ritchie passed away, who was a gentleman. And that's how I ended up at Arbroath. But great club, great people, and I'll tell you what, there's a right good feel factor up there, and hopefully we can do well again in the Championship. Anything from 8th upwards for us would be a massive achievement for a club like Arbroath.
Bobby's been really excited, and when he was on, he was saying that with the games that were left in the season, they were looking up. They were looking up the way you were thinking, we're going to try and push for that last playoff spot.
That's it. But you were looking. You could still get relegated mathematically, but you're looking closer to the playoff. It was unfortunate it finished, because it would have been great for Arbroath, the club, the players, and probably the gaffer as well. You know, to have finished the season in a good position. You know, at the start of the season, we were tipped we were not going to win a game. We're going to get relegated by Christmas. You're not going to win a game. You know, see things like that. That gives you a cause to fight for. So it's great.
You said earlier something about management. Is that something you're considering now?
I think working with the gaffer, can you look more at it? I need to go and do update on my badges and start again. I had them all, and I had my goalie badges. I went over to Ireland, did them when I was at Leicester, and Lenny got the job at Bolton, and Lenny phoned us if I wanted to go to Bolton and be his goalie coach, and my badges had all lapsed and I never even knew. So it's something that I'm going to go and do once, obviously, the COVID and the pandemic. I'm going to update everything and get on it through there.
That's brilliant.
So, what we never touched on, mate, is your Scotland career. 19 caps and a saved penalty for Figo.
Yes. Not bad. No, I agree. Again, I think as a young boy, you want to play, be a full-time footballer or play for your country. I was lucky to do both. I'll never be the best Scotland goalie. I could possibly be the worst. I might not be the worst, but I was the best goalie at that time it was picked and thoroughly enjoyed it. To stand at Hampden, obviously we beat Holland, then they battered us over there. We drew with Germany. Lucky enough to save a Luis Figo penalty. So that's what it's about.
I seen it tell the grandbairns a bit, mate, is it?
I think for me, like I say, I was lucky enough to give three my boys' club managers a Scotland jersey. My mum passed away when Dundee were in administration in 2010. So I put a Scotland cap in my mum's coffin. Things like that, you know, you're lucky. It's a privilege, and I know how much my mum loved me being able to play football or being professional football. So, and I always remember I was a kid and I had the new Royce Jim Leighton gloves. I think they were about 20 quid when I was about 13-year-old. And I looked down and my mum had holes in her shoes. I had the brand new gloves. That's what it's about, you know. So it's memories, and that's why I used to always wear my wee black armband when I was at Dundee, believe it or not. So that's it. But brilliant. 19 caps, so it's no bad. So you and I, we've got 19 caps between us.
That's it, mate. So 1998 was the last time, obviously, Scotland went to a championship. Yeah, how good would that have been? We went and played in something,
I think hopefully we're turning the corner. It's just, listen, we've not got any divine right to go and win something like that. We want to be at the party at least to just give ourselves a chance, you know. Stop everybody taking the mickey at us. But I think they've got a great chance, you know, with the qualifiers and that. But let's hope so. I mean, Craig Brown was the last manager, so let's hope we can get a breath of fresh air and kick Scotland on and get back into a couple of major tournaments. It'd be great. Well, obviously, I think I was just starting at Dundee when watching the World Cup, you know, and I think it would be, as a country, it would give the Scottish football a massive boost more than anything. Yeah.
When you look at Wales and even Northern Ireland, what it does just for the whole country itself, and everybody's just so much more buzz about them, looking forward to the months on the run-up to everything.
They've kicked on, and I think Scotland's just about to as well. So fingers crossed it works for us, and Sparky's back fit and scoring free kicks like he did against England, and we can get. I would honestly love to go and watch Scotland at a major tournament myself as a fan. You know, that's the one thing I would love to do. So hopefully we can get to one.
So Rab, what's happening now, mate? What's in store for the future?
We'll see. Like I say, I'm thoroughly enjoying my time up at Arbroath. I'm working with Dick Campbell, Ian Campbell, John Young, who are absolutely brilliant. I'm learning off them. And I think the gaffer will say, you're still learning, you know, even at his age, and that they've got quite a young outlook in the game, and they're great in the dressing room. You know, they get the best out of the boys at that level for what the money's getting paid, and the boys love them. So I'm really enjoying it up there. I must say, I'm quite settled in there. But if I can learn a bit and do some badges and just see how I go from that, we'll wait and see what happens with that.
I see that you're involved in a good few bits of charity work in that as well, mate. You're sharing some stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, I do quite a bit. My big pal died when he was 25, Big Gordon Cowan. So he died in the beaches in Glasgow. 6'5", big gentle giant, big mummy's boy, goalkeeper as well. Yeah, big golfer. That. So his mum, always remember, his mum didn't want him forgotten, so I went down to see her, and she said, so I think we've raised 14 grand during lockdown, so we're at 274 grand that we've made to the beats, and so we have a golf day, we now have a charity ball, and it's just Gordon's memory for a small, we're not in a city centre, you know, it's a small town like Lanark is unbelievable to raise that money. Lanark Golf Club is unbelievable with us supporting us, and there's so many people been generous during the lockdown, but it's about helping others that have got cancer and things like that, and big believer in it. And I think everyone in Lanark appreciates it because we bring some celebrities and we do a good day in the pubs. We get a good turn, you know. So I think it's Gordon's name's out there and it's getting bigger and better. And I think it helps the Beatson massively as well. When you're over £250,000, it's no be luck.
Outstanding. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I'm just going to give a wee shout out to anybody who's got any questions for Rab before he goes, bang them in the comments just now and hit that share button. Share the story out to as many people as we possibly can. That would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, anything else you want to add, big man, before you go? See if any of these questions come in.
I'm quite happy. I'm just waiting to try and catch the last 20 minutes of the Motherwell game.
Is that above your head there, Motherwell? What's the score?
Just now, they're getting beat 1-0 now with Ross County, but we'll wait and see.
You've got a few comments coming in. Sounds like a cracking lad, even though these guys are United fans.
That's good. Like I say, I enjoy my time in Dundee, and I think you get great banter. It's unique, the fact that both fans go in the pub before and after the game. You know, it's bragging rights after the game, but before the game, you see both sets of fans is unbelievable. And you know, I think you try and tell some people down in Glasgow and they don't believe you. You know, obviously you've got your clubs that you can't, or your pubs you can't go in, etc. But it's great up here, and I've quite settled living up here, and I've really enjoyed my time. And I think if anybody meets me in the pub, they'll know that I'm willing to chat. But
leave the stick in the house.
No, listen, I don't think I've ever went out to a pub to try and wind somebody up or slip. That's part and parcel. And then sometimes you get in a discussion, and one of the first things I always ask people is, you know, where are you from, or why do you support them? Or folk will say my dad took us or my granddad, and you get in a conversation. And it's brilliant. It's all walks of life, and you'll always revert back to football.
Outstanding, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Great.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.